Welcome to the First, the Last, the Nerdom, the podcast where we dive deep into the worlds of movies, TV shows, comics, from the first to the last and everything in between. This week we're stepping into the thrilling blend of history, horror, and action in the 2001 French film Brotherhood of the Wolf. Get ready for a wild ride through 18th century France, where a mysterious beast terrorizes a province, and two unlikely heroes set out to uncover the truth behind it all. With stunning visuals, intense action, and a gripping plot, this film packs a punch and leaves a lasting impact on fans of historical fiction and monster movies alike. So grab your swords, your best fur cloak, and settle in for a conversation about the Brotherhood of the Wolf, its blend of myth, mystery, and martial arts, and why it holds such a unique place in the realm of cinematic nerdom. Let's dive in.
Easy to Lovecraft, they dish the facts. Lightsabers clash and case on their backs. Xenomorphs lurking, Gotham's dark alleys. With every episode, the fandom rallies. The first, the last, the Nerdom with Mike and Tom. Dropping nerd knowledge like an atom bomb. Discussing the cosmic, the scary, the epic. Tune in, strap in, it's all real, authentic. Galaxies far, far, horrors, chilling lore. From Krypton to Hogwarts, always explore. Panels and pages, heroes and stages. Worlds colliding, they know all the phases. Wicked X-Wings and Del X that scream. Phantom zones and vampire dreams. Multiverse open and ready to storm. Mike and Tom in the lab, setting the norm.
Good, happy evening, Tom. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I suggested a couple of werewolf movies, and this isn't quite a werewolf movie, but it doesn't even have a wolf in it. It's kind of confusing, but
Well, well, to kind of to whet the appetite for those who are tuning in and watching this, you're gonna see a Frankenstein mix of genre blending. But did they do
Mhm.
it well or not so well? That's what we're gonna get into. I have no doubt, Tom. But first, I believe that we are going to do some plugging here and set the table and talk
Mhm.
about who we are and what we do and why we're what the hell is this thing that we're doing here. Uh, Great intro, by the way, too. I love that. Let's get better and better. I also want to call attention to the awesome thumbnail and color choice. It really pops. I dig it. So I'm probably
Yeah.
one of your biggest thumbnail fans. So. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was gonna
it's
say you brought us in here, and thank you also for the name change to make it a little bit easier to find us.
yep, first last nerdum. Yep. We've got our channel here. We cover everything from horror to sci-fi to fantasy, both in
Nice.
movies and comic books. And yeah, if you look at a handful of our last few, we've kind of jumped around to various things. And I have to shout out our last video, Company of Wolves. We did quite well on that one. Um, yeah, it's streaming in different a lot of different places, so I kind of plugged it in various places on Reddit, and I think that may have helped us out a little bit there. Of course, I'm on Reddit. I try to find some interesting subreddits to kind of promote our stuff in, and yeah, I think it kind of helped us out. I'm also on X under FirstLastNerdom, and I promote our stuff on there as well. Um, and then I also do little weird little things on there as well. But yeah, I showed off on some of my new physical media acquirements. I got the big Terrifier box set, and then a few other handful of goodies from Umbrella,
Excellent.
Possession, one of our favorites
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
on the channel, and Martyrs, which hopefully we'll get to here in a future episode. Buckle up for that one.
Oh man, I knowing you and your solid picks, I have no doubt that I'll be in for a ride. I too am also on X if you wish to follow me and Tom and have a little bit more, maybe a longer form conversation. Of course, you can always find Tom posting keeping it real on Reddit. I want to thank him so much for taking up that burden and that cross and playing it marvelously. You, sir, have the patience of a saint to deal with the Reddit. I gave up on it a long time ago, as I did other social media. But that's a me problem, not a world problem. But in any case, yeah, we love to kind of catch back and forth. I think like at least once a week we'll find something that snags our attention and tag the other, and maybe have a little bit of a small little back and forth. But hopefully we'll be doing a little bit more of things that catch our fancy and whatnot. Keeping it light, keeping it fun, but we still are in winter. I didn't say it. ApeIt_Ink is where you'll find me. Also, I have a ApeIt.Ink, my main publication online for me to stocking stuff, heavy, serious, stupid things, funny things, all kinds of different things that I find out there. And as always, want to give a shout out. People really like this from our perspective. This is a roaring boil for us. With the views that we got. So I'm very happy to see that. I had a lot of fun discussing it with you. I didn't think. You just never know where the discussion is going to go, and I think we did a pretty good job of covering down on some serious aspects, but also some kind of fun things. And call out. It's just a good movie to go see. And also a good movie to see is the one we covered, Heretic, a couple weeks in the past. That we really enjoyed that one too. A24 fan. I absolutely hate A24. I just can't stand them. I'm kidding. Of course, if you're a regular viewer, follower of our channel, you know that's BS. Rightfully so. But yeah, so this guy, you got us into so we're doing a werewolf. We're doing a werewolf series here. This is part 2 of 3. Next week, we might talk about we might give a little teaser for next week, but we'll see. And we might extend that to who knows, whatever catches our fancy. We do what we love here. This is definitely a passion of love. So how did you give me some background on this? So like, like most of the time, like I love hearing how you found these movies, and or came across them or whatever. I have no history for this. I'm sure we all have maybe a favorite French movie, or that had French origins or something like that. I know I have a couple of mine that are foreign, that are maybe not widely known outside of the French-speaking part of the world, but wide enough for me to know. But this one was very interesting. It had so many cool elements to it that I love. But where to start? I don't know. But I guess I'll start there and I'll ask you. Yeah, how did you come into this guy?
Well, it came out in 2001. I was a bit of a cinema nerd, as I always have been, and this got on my radar, and yeah, it's I guess I was in St. Louis at the time, if it was 2001. So yeah, it came out in some of the smaller theater. It kind of had a limited release here in the States. But yeah, it was definitely on my radar, and I went to the theaters to see this one. But yeah, I was very pumped and excited about this one. Just from the trailers. Yeah, it's like a mashup. There's a little bit of I guess Matrix in there with the martial arts fighting in it, and but yeah, it's also sort of a horror movie, but not really. It's a sort of an action movie, but not really. It's a little bit of a historical. It's actually based on a actual beast that kind of roamed the countryside there in France. So there's a little bit of historical
No,
picture here, but yeah, it's overall just a cool looking movie. It's kind of hard to make people kind of dressed up kind of in French attire to look cool, but this movie does a damn good job of doing it.
Yeah, I got it definitely goes out of its way to kind of be very unique and odd in all good ways, and it does have a lot of history to play with, which I'm sure we'll get into. But yeah, I want to call that out, which was the aesthetic and the look. I definitely got the you're gonna hate me for not getting this right, but it reminded me of the Assassin's Creed that was around the Revolutionary War. There's a couple of them there that were out there. I can't remember. I never remember them. They all kind of blend together. But this had that, and it also had aspects of one of my favorite films of all time. The good grief, sorry. Last of the Mohicans. It had
Yep.
different kind of vibes like that with the trifoil hat or the not the trifoil hats. They're called something else, but anyway, shame on me for not knowing that. But I apologize if I am a little bit slow in the uptake or have to mute. I'm going over. I'm getting over some extra gunk. We're just passing the sickies between each other here at the castle, as it were. So I apologize in advance. But in any case, yeah. So we're in 18th century France. It didn't take long for the film to get going either, which I appreciate the pacing. But and I'll defer to you to tackle some of the harder. I will make an attempt to pronounce some of the some of the things here, but otherwise,
Yeah, yeah, it's very much a French movie. I watched another French horror movie the other week called The Vertilac, which had sort of like kind of a rich dignitary getting stuck in a sort of rural area, but he was all prettied up. This movie makes you look makes the people look cool in it. But yeah, there is I guess this was Assassin's Creed before Assassin's Creed, because yeah, while watching this movie, they did a Assassin's Creed movie a few years back, and they kind of messed up and didn't get this guy Christophe Gans to direct that. I mean, he would have been a no-brainer to bring the cool look of Assassin's Creed
he
game into a cinematic
he has
thing.
such
But yeah, he
vision.
hasn't done a whole lot of movies. I was kind of looking over his um, movie history. He did Silent Hill. He did Silent Hill not too long after this, which I really enjoyed Silent Hill, and then he also did Beauty and the Beast. But yeah, and then there's doing a Silent Hill sequel. Looks like they just wrapped on it, so that will be interesting. But yeah, like I said, he's does
He,
I don't know if it's by choice or if he just didn't get offered anything, but yeah, he's got kind of a limited you know movie history
well,
here.
I wanted to kind of touch on that. You mentioned it. You kind of just between us here, kind of felt it would be the perfect video game. It would be nobody would question this if this were a more from a video game or something like that, because he I can see where he was going for a cinematic experience, and I think for
Mhm.
the most part that is true. I know that there's a director's cut out there, I believe, and I know that.
Yeah, I think I
Oh, you
got
know what? Let me
the
switch. Let me put
director's
you on the
cut
big screen
here
here.
for the 4K.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's 2.5 hours long. The theatrical cut was 220 and some change. So I've seen that version. I've seen this version. I think there's a slightly longer version too. But yeah, this is the longest version I've seen. But yeah, it's got the 4K, the Blu-ray, and also a disc full of extras. So there's two documentaries about the making of the movie on here, and then there's like 40 minutes of deleted scenes with him talking about it. So but yeah, um but yeah, I'm a huge physical media guy, as you know. So I've been kind of expanding my collection. So and I'll shout out my physical media when I have it ready for us here. But yeah, it's a 2.5 hour long movie, but like you were saying, it doesn't take too long to get into it, and they kind of hold the pace throughout the movie. There is sort of kind of a lull in the, I guess, towards the e- end of the first quarter of it. You, they're kind of looking for the beast, but they're not really. I guess they kind of mired into the politics of everything.
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah. There definitely are politics. That this is, and of course, it is a kind of historical piece, but it is just very interesting how it gets there. And you know, I don't know. Well, I'll just let it go. We can go from there. But like, what I was trying to figure out this thing. Why is it?
Oh, yeah, and the Scream Factory does this,
Oh,
which is a branch of Shout Factory. I just saw that little Scream Factory logo on there, but they do a pretty decent job of putting together some classic, and then they put it in their Scream Factory, which is their horror. But yeah, I really don't see this as a horror movie. I see it more of a as an action movie, if anything.
yeah. I was like I said, it's kind of a Frankenstein of amalgamation of different genres.
Hmm.
Horror. It's got history. I definitely got even a thriller a little bit. And they don't hold anything back either in this film. They're pretty brutal. And just that's on purpose because it reflects the time they're in. That this is a very serious thing. This isn't like like a like where they brush sometimes films like this they'll brush up on the supernatural, but this
Hmm.
isn't doing that at all. It definitely has a little bit of historical punch behind it because of this creature, but it's also the this I think plays more on the there's a monster, there's a boogeyman out there, and it takes that concept and it expands on it very much, and you end up well. I don't want to get we're not even anywhere near spoilers, but there is a certain method that is being done here, and you see these people, and they are definitely as you get to know them, there are also layers with this like with this like this onion here as we kind of peel it pare it down,
Yeah.
certain
Yeah,
kind of
there's even like sort of a Sherlock Holmes kind of aspect to it as well.
there's a lot that it
With
packs in.
yeah.
Yeah, the tri-corner hat. Excuse me. I should have known. I should have. I should have. I had that written down somewhere, but I couldn't find it in time to sound witty and on it for our ride here this evening. Um, but yeah, so you liked it. What was it like seeing it in the theater back in the day? Was it was something that you had heard and sought out, and then you went to go, and then you lucked out,
Mhm.
or uh,
Yeah, yeah, I'd seen previews of it, and I was I collected. I don't know if I was still reading Fangoria at the time, if that was even being published. But yeah, early internet as well. Just there was a buzz about it, and yeah, I'd heard that. Yeah, and I'd seen the previews, and yeah, everybody was still hyped about the Matrix, and this sort of had the sort of the martial arts. It does. There's some historical stuff in it that kind of makes sense, and then there's some other stuff that doesn't, like having them fight, the martial arts, having a Hong Kong action director, direct the action in a French movie is kind of absurd, but just and over the top, but that's just the way this movie is, and yeah, it doesn't make sense, but it works within the parameters of this movie.
yeah, Gans is he's like the mad scientist of genre mixing.
Yeah.
He knows how to weave it in, and like you were saying, the Hong Kong wire fu meets the X Files.
Mhm.
Like that's what I got. It's weird how you kind of get different echoes of other movies or things like that
Mhm.
end up kind of
Yeah,
sticking.
and then then the interviews that I watched with him, going back over it, Gans is very cognizant of what movies he's sort of referencing, and he's very clear and upfront. Like there was one of the deleted scenes he was talking about how the scene he was kind of capturing the mood of another movie, and he kind of did that throughout the movie, kind of capturing little things that he likes. There's like there's a kind of autopsy scene where they're kind of recreating a werewolf sort of Frankenstein, like to say that they've killed this beast when they clearly have. yet. And he's kind of they're kind of cobbling something together, and he was very much going for sort of the Hammer films of the '60s, sort of the Frankenstein, kind of Frankenstein Hammer movie, cutting up the wolf and whatnot. But yeah, he's very open and upfront about kind of paying tribute to various movies and
Well,
whatnot.
he did the Necronomicon before this one. Well, he
Hmm.
did another one too. It looks like, but I had my notes there. But um, didn't he? I think he founded a magazine. Um, Founded Starfix magazine. Did you have that in your research?
No,
No,
no, I
okay.
didn't know
Like
that
it,
about
well,
him. But yeah, Crying Freeman's based off of a anime and stars Manny, the guy who plays Manny in this movie. He's Mark. I forget the how you pronounce his last name, but yeah, he's not he's Hawaiian. He's not Native American like he is portraying in this movie. Um, but yeah, let's see where Mark Dacascos, I guess is how you pronounce his name. Who
okay.
plays Manny in this movie.
Oh yeah, Mark. Yeah, he did a good job. He did a
But
good
yeah,
job.
he also starred in Crying Freeman that he did with Gans as well. So they sort of had a kind of a working relationship
That's cool.
together. But yeah, the character Manny, I think he kind of rides the line of with these type of characters, the Native American. The in the script, he was portrayed more as kind of an older gentleman with wisdom and not really kind of an action guy, which they obviously changed for the actual movie. Um, but they kind of ride the line of how they kind of treat a Native American person. They becomes in lesser hands. You can kind of make it into sort of a parody, or make them just like a caricature.
Hmm.
Which Mark kind of brings a sense of humanness to him,
Right.
so that he's not just this thing that this totem spouting out homespun wisdom or whatever of the Native
Well,
Americans.
token
It's more
feathered
of a
Indian,
real character.
right? Yeah, like like in a John Wayne western or something, like where you had howdy doody, not the howdy doody kind, like the a very serious take on the. That's what I one thing I like about Gaines, or Gans, excuse me. He takes it very seriously. I was going to say his he did found the Starfix. Anyway, that magazine did a lot of B movie B movie looking.
Mhm,
So it's no wonder he had a taste and could understand how to weave in and use actors fully to
mhm,
resonate with the audience beyond just like you know some silly attempt,
mhm.
or somebody maybe didn't quite get in. I enjoyed a lot of the acting. I'm not familiar with a lot of these folks, but well, let me go back to the top
Mhm.
cast there. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The one of the people that stood out to me, I know her from a few other movies, Monica Bellucci,
oh yeah.
which she's always does
I guess I
a
lied. I
bang up
didn't know her
job.
from.
Yeah, and then I think with his later movies, Vincent Cassel, he's kind of come into his own as well. He's the evil brother in this movie,
Yeah, indeed.
the one armed guy. Oh, he has that kind of cool gun that kind of loops around your arm or whatever.
Oh right, like a prosthetic kind of
Yeah.
way to like a hook. Well, that kind of
Yeah.
just adds to the ambiance and to the depth of the characters. Everybody kind of has like that. I kind of got the one thing I do enjoy about this, whether you're looking at the creature, or you're looking at the set piece or a scene, or they're in the marshes and they're doing the lighting very well, with just the ambiance of the just the feeling that you get with it. The Every character looked like they had their own story that would be
Yeah.
just as fascinating up to this point. And some character like they do for what they're given and how they handle it and it unfolds. It really is cool. Like I guess that's kind of the one of the joys of kind of coming into this. You know, you find this mad alchemist like Gans, and you I just I'm fascinated by how you know how they get to that from script or writing to you know blocking and how they set up the scene and how they know where to put the it's just really cool anyway.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, some of the behind the scenes stuff they showed them kind of blocking out and doing. There's like a section towards the middle, towards the end of the movie where they're trying to capture the beast, and they've got all these little traps kind of set up, and it was kind of interesting. There's a scene where Manny he ducks down while this sort of contraption kind of swings over his head,
Right.
and you know it was interesting to see him immediately know what wasn't working about that scene and how to fix it. It was kind of interesting seeing how because he felt like when he dove down there he wasn't getting enough air, you know, that wasn't looking properly of him ducking down. So but yeah, that was kind of fascinating just to see. And then they obviously they had some bad luck during filming. I think um they got behind on filming because of bad weather and whatnot, which I guess when you're outside, yeah, the
Well,
previous movie we did, A Company of Wolves, that was all done pretty much on studio, so
sounds
they had
crazy.
complete control over everything. Whereas this movie was a lot of outdoors, a large vistas, which were obviously wonderful to see, but yeah, you don't have complete control of Mother Nature, and there's always
Well,
something that's gonna go wrong.
well, to kind of go back to Vincent Cassel, you know, he had his functional arm in a sling on him for months. So there was the method there, and then you know just the hardiness, you know, the waterfall scene. I had in my notes that with Monica Bellucci that was shot in that 40-degree weather. That's crazy. No body
Yeah.
double. Those are the actresses and actors that you see on the screen that are giving their all. You can see anyway. But it is just he found enough of these people that cared and they put their you can really you know how you see like the panel of the thing and then everybody's kind of talking and they maybe it's Hollywood fake talking. You're good and I'm good and oh, what a wonderful job. You know, like that fake kind of talk. You could tell like these people actually showed up and put their best foot forward, so to speak, or sword,
Yeah, that was
for that matter.
yeah, that was the interesting thing about the behind the scenes stuff because yeah, like you said, a lot of the canned sort of behind the scenes stuff is where everybody's talking about how great everybody was and how wonderful but yeah, there's a more of a sense of realism. Maybe because they're in France, you know, they don't have this whole movie thing kind of ground down like Hollywood does. It's much more kind of looser and more real, so to speak. But yeah, there's you know the basically the story of the movie is and this is based on historical fact that there was this beast claimed to be a wolf, a giant wolf, kind of roaming the French countryside.
Yeah.
And that's basically the story that they've kind of lifted off historically, and they, you know, the conclusion of it is very much different. And you know, this one is kind of tied into politics, whereas the other I think was just more or
Zedong.
less, you know,
Yeah, the beast of
about a
Zedong.
beast.
Yeah, 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 and in the real world, they didn't know if it was you know if it was a wolf, or a you know or a hyena or something else. It actually killed purportedly hundreds of people or whatever, or became the beast. So that was kind of cool. I didn't know about that until I looked it up after the fact, but it's still very cool.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
we're in the time of King Louis, King Louis the 16th or 15th reign, and nobody's really happy. There's a lot going on. There's intrigue, not palace intrigue, maybe, or maybe that's it, but it serves it up very well. Like where you see that there is, there's definitely, like I said, kind of before I touched on it, certain people, certain characters in this movie kind of represent, the peasantry or represent the aristocracy, and they play to their type very well. And and not just like on the head, like obviously that this kind of character is whatever, or is a layer for or stand-in, but their own backstory and their own personal, like as you get to know the characters more, you kind of find out not everything isn't what it seems, and then the other thing that kind of comes in here is the ends justify the means, to not get too political into it, but there's also I liked it cool like from the history side because it had so many cool aspects of it that you could kind of nerd out on, I guess, a little bit. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this, it is sort of a kind of a historical drama, but it takes all the stuffed shirts out of it. The parts of a historical drama that you don't like is not in this movie. There's not like a whole lot of talking. There is some talking, but it's
There
always
is.
the juicy bits. There's like there's not a whole lot of downtime in this movie. It's going from one thing to the next, and they spend a good time, a good amount of time in the brothels. There's there's always something engaging and something to look at. The very first I guess fight scene. They go into town, or well, they're heading into town, and almost like gunslingers, kind of coming into town. They run into some ruffians that are kind of roughing up this woman and this older gentleman, and they step in. Manny gets down and kind of demonstrates his prowess with fighting. Martial art style. I don't know how realistic it is for a Native American to be breaking out those chops, but yeah, it's very cool. And it wasn't raining at the time. They had like a rain machine because they wanted it into the rain, and it just looks really cool with the you mentioned the three-corner hats and the kind of the face thing that kind of covers covers most of their face, and just their leather jackets and whatnot. It is just there's a level of cool to this movie that you can't deny.
Yeah, I also wanted to say Samuel Levian, and butchered that, but we'll just say Samuel, and I'll cheat. He didn't do bad either, in his his fight scenes too. Although Manny was Mark was really really good. Well, that's kind of the thing. Like you suspend disbelief and you go with it. It works.
Yeah.
It has a certain kind of magic that it draws you into. It's like, why not? It's just French money villages and damp misty swamps or forests. Like just kind of to set the scene. But
Yeah, I think yeah, I read a good quote for evidently Roger Ebert liked the previous movie we covered, and this week I saw a quote which to kind of paraphrase it, he basically said, of all the things wrong with this movie, you have to say that you're entertained.
yeah.
Well,
That's the kind of the thing, and I hate to say this because I don't want to sound pretentious, but it is true. Some directors do purposely weave in, like, how did you notice like how they fought? It kind of reflected on the general character that they were. If you notice, like Samuel, like he's fighting to survive. Like where Jean Francois, he is brutal, and he doesn't care. But I think that matches, as you get to know him and what he's about, and kind of how this Brotherhood thing goes about. You can kind of see that there's a little bit of like he'd shoot you in the back or stab you in the back and wouldn't think twice about it. Let's put it that way. Just the kind of like
and I think one of the things that the um, Hong Kong action director said in his interview was that in American movies, the everything stops for the fight scene, whereas with Hong Kong fighting, it's just part of the story. The story doesn't stop for the fight. It's part of the story. So
Right.
that kind of reflects what you were saying. Yes, it's very very true to the characters, and they are saying something with their fighting
Well,
as well.
I also don't think it's too far away and I'm not really going to get into anything political or as an allegory or whatever. I'm not really interested in doing that right now. But there is kind of a little bit broader scope, and just about every scene, whether it's a fight scene or whatever, as you get to know the story and the characters and what's going on or what isn't going on, or
Hmm.
whatever, make it that what you will. But there is a constant balance between order and rules, and uh, 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 being civilized versus absolute savagery. I mean, it kind of it wants to show you, or at least part of the movie wants to show you that, well, look, see, if we don't have big strong men, then who's going to protect all the women and the children and the livestock from the monster? And that's played up to a very good degree, to build up, kind of like one side on that. But I just thought that was cool, that I
Yeah,
noticed,
and
with the fighting and
I
how characters
yeah,
are, and if they have grace or
and
not.
it was kind of interesting with the deleted scenes, the stuff that he cut out, but what was just kind of cool just to be able to see that. But he talked Gans talked about how they kind of rearranged some of the scenes. There's at two different points, a peasant woman gets killed by the wolf. One's early on, and then the
In the house.
second one with the memorable one with the little baby lamb happens towards, I guess, towards the middle, more towards the end of the movie.
Right. Quite
Um,
literally in the
that
head.
that those two attacks, actually, that one was early on as well. Um, but they realize, oh well, you have two attacks happening relatively quickly, so let's move this one with the lamb later on to kind of punctuate it again. And that makes sense. However, they kept them examining her body after she's been killed in the early part of the movie. So there's a scene where they're examining the dead body of the woman that gets killed later on in the movie.
Interesting.
It's kind of interesting.
That's cool.
He said, but yeah, he's like, no one ever notices that.
Uh,
Which,
well, you also kind of understand, this creature is evil, or is painted as evil, or as this menace, mayhem, and you kind of come to find out that, well, I mean, there's symbolism everywhere. I don't know, but that when you get to a point, you can look back and see, kind of how it really was. but and
yeah, there's different layers in the movie. You could dig as deep as you want, because you know the Monica Bellucci character kind of seems sort of on the outlying of the whole story. She seems to be just a bit character, but she's probably way more involved, and probably knows what's going on way before our main characters do. She's way more into the whole plot, and may have deeper roots into things than just what she plays on the surface.
Right, right. Yeah. Yeah, another question I had was, how did it do in the box? Oh, how much was it made, and how did that do? We haven't talked about that yet.
I think it did quite well. It's one of the top French movies. I think it made like 70 million. It wasn't
Okay.
like a crazy, crazy success, but it did quite well for them, which obviously led to Gans being able to do the American movie Silent Hill. But and he's reportedly a big video game fan, so yeah, that's he really wanted to do Silent Hill. So and in fact, in Brotherhood of the Wolf, there's a later part where someone has this sword that kind of bone sword that kind of breaks off into segments, much like a sword that Ivy uses in Soul Calibur games,
Okay,
which
right on.
was, I think, kind of taken from from that.
That's cool.
So yeah, there's a very much a kind
What?
of a video game sensibility to this movie.
Well,
Like I
yeah.
said, it's sort of like a kind of a Frankenstein type movie, where everything kind of works together.
Well, he absolutely is of the generation that would get or understand or try to put in video game or understand the culture, and kind of like the aesthetic that would
Mhm.
go with that. So it would be really cool. And it's no stranger, no strange thought to how he thinks and sees things, which we kind of covered a little bit before. But
Mhm.
excuse me.
But yeah, this, like I said, yeah, it was one of those movies where like you were talking about how it kind of grabs and pieces together a whole lot of different things. That's sort of the kind of books and movies that I like, where it kind of pulls odd things together that shouldn't work but do work. We had the writer Joe Lansdale on our show here, and his stuff is sort of like that. He'll tell a zombie story set in the old west. um he kind of throws together all these different aspects of stories that probably shouldn't work but do work together, and this movie
Sure.
is very much in that vein, where you're putting all these elements together, that shouldn't work but do work within the context of this world. And it just kind of opens things up, because there's the beast in it. You never know until in the movie, if it's sort of a supernatural thing. Does this kind of have a science explanation in the to it, or
Rational,
is it
right?
mystical? What's in fact going on? And the way the movie's kind of put together, you're open to all possibilities until you kind of know what's going on. It's there's that whole sense of adventure, where you're open to the possibility of various things.
Well, and
And it's not one of those movies where it lives and dies by the inner workings of the story. If one element, if it doesn't kind of come across as well as it should, another element of the movie kind of bolsters it and holds it up.
absolutely. Well, that just goes to the way this works so well, and I think why it's lasted the test of time is because it's not just surface level what you get. It's not just here's the hero, maybe here's the anti-hero, here's the damsel in distress or whatever. It's none of that. It's very complicated, but it's at the same time like from the start of the meeting the first character all the way out through learning what this creature is, this monster, what is truth, like you get that push and that pull there of like what is that, and also how fear is, it can be a tool just like the truth or truth, depending upon who and
Hmm.
what you are and what that means. It can be very interesting and you get I don't know about you, but like I was welcomed as the movie went on. I wanted to stay put and continue watching it to see what was going to happen next. And it has that draw. I don't know what that is about. I haven't really had time to like really think longer term like what the core draw is, but I can understand why it has lasted as long as it has. And the funny thing is, it is, I mean, like you said, start digging and you're gonna find gold no matter where you stop digging at and analyzing this movie. But the fact that you could absolutely it's 25 years old, 24 years old, and the fact that you can kind of put it over the backdrop of quite a few different parts of time. Had you seen it, it might have reminded you of different things going on at that point in time. Anyway, just really kind of cool. But that's what evergreen stories tend to do and be. That's why we call them evergreen stories. That it fits very well. And I was pleasantly surprised.
Oh, and we've neglected to say that the beast in this is both kind of real kind of puppet kind of creation as well as CGI, and the Jim Henson group is the ones responsible
I did not have that in my notes.
for that.
Okay, very cool. It has a good quality. So sometimes the CGI can kind of be a little bit more raw, maybe. But
yeah, kind of a little wonky, and yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, it's definitely 2000s, early 2000s CGI, but nothing to completely throw you out of the movie.
No, nothing to pull you out of the film or pull out your enjoyment of the thing. It kind of just is like, oh, okay, kind of like a little blip on the thing, and then you keep going. And they don't have very good stills from this movie. Good grief.
No, they don't.
Anyway, wow, what a shame on IMDb. Oh boy, there is a lot to unpack. But yeah, Monica was great, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, no. And movie like the Matrix, it's easy to make that look cool.
Right.
But if you're tasked with making the 18th century France look cool, that does take a little bit of doing, and I think that they pulled it off quite well. Very stylized, very stylish kind of movie that really it has a definite look to it. And it's you can't mistake it for something else, although there is the sort of that feel of the Last of the Mohicans in there as well,
Like
just with the nature and them running around with their ancient guns and whatnot.
right. Well, I mean, it's not. You would think that would be kitschy or campy or whatever. Not really. You go with it. It again, it invites you in, and it doesn't beat you over the head with exposition. There is some dialogue, but this isn't a high art house thing like where you're staring at a field for 15 minutes, and there's like majestic noises coming. I'm being facetious here, but this movie has none of that. It's never see. I was gonna try to see the cool aesthetic. Yeah, like you said, like muddy. It just has a it has a fucking cool vibe. It just does. It just, like I said, us talking about the kung fu kind of scenes doesn't do it justice, because you aside from the novelty of being like, okay, wait, it's a French period, 18th, what's going on here with like some kind of werewolf or some kind of monster creature of the night, kind of thing going on, and then you see it and it I was very satisfied with the whole thing. Also,
on paper it sounds like it might be a little bit of a stuffy kind of movie, with maybe kind of high airs or whatnot, but that's not what it is. It's
absolutely, yeah.
Very relatable, very down to earth, very just getting in there, and like I said, the action is never too far away. They do get into a little bit of history and political drama, but just enough to kind of whet your appetite, but not enough to get to the boring parts of it. And then it's on, and if you're not really interested in that, hey, they're showing up at the brothel here, so
right.
there's always something to kind of gotta enchant you with.
You are not sitting still for too long. And I was going to say too, what this also did to a pretty good degree. I wouldn't say it was spectacular all the way around, but it did do good, decent job, beyond a good, decent job of world building and
Mhm.
pulling you into the film. Pulling you into that time and place. Whether it's the intrigue going on, or
Yeah,
the who's the good guys, who's the bad guys, a good time. There's also times in here where it's just brutality. They don't hold it again. They don't hold anything back. There's a couple scenes that might disturb folks really really well, but they're
yeah.
the way that they're done and the way that it's shown is as I mean it's
Yeah,
not that it
there's some
is
shock. Yeah, there's some
it,
shocking moments, but they don't. It's never grotesque. They never linger on things
it's not
longer
for
than needed. You know.
it's not Saw or Panic or I mean The
Mhm.
Purge. It's nothing like that. Like where it's just wall to wall. Or or the savagery of The Hills Have Eyes. For that matter, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Which is a whole other thing. But anyway, it works very well. I was very happy. Again, this is kind of like one I would have never come across this unless somebody had talked to me about it or said, "Hey, you should go check out that." Well, which is why I love that we can find these things. There, start kitty cat. Oh, that's a cable. I just want to make sure I'm not
But yeah,
stepping
and
on the
that's
cat.
this movie also has elements of a buddy movie. You know, you got Manny and Gregor there. In fact, this movie's kind of definitive on their relationship. But if they had done like a series of movies with those two guys, running around doing things,
Oh
that would have
yeah.
been interesting.
Well, it could have. I see what you're talking about. I see where you're going. Yeah, it could have absolutely been, very a buddy, buddy kind of type
Yeah.
thing, like um, Lethal Weapon or Another 48 Hours, that kind of thing. That kind
Yeah.
of that dichotomy there. That
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and even going back further, like Sherlock Holmes and Watson,
sure,
there's
that's true.
sort of there's some classic pairings as well. But yeah, yeah, I wouldn't mind a prequel with those two guys in America, causing some trouble.
It's funny you say that because I would absolutely entertain possibly being excited about a prequel or sequel to this. If it's done right, it has the it could do it absolutely sure. Or if it now where it might fall down as if they try to make it a franchise, which I'm surprised they haven't tried. But if you're out
Yeah.
there watching and you got that idea from us, we would love to be paid in Disney bucks or whatever, or MGM bucks. Just kidding. But dumb
But
daddy.
yeah, you could check this out. I got the physical media, which is available now. So if you wanted to grab it up on Amazon or wherever you buy your physical media, that's great. But yeah, if you just want to watch it, you listen to us talk, and this is sounds like a cool movie you might want to check out. You can check it out on Tubi. I saw where it's also on Plex,
Yes.
Freevee, all of those free streaming services. They that looks like they have it.
Oh,
So
shame on me for not. Hold on. Let
definitely
me
check it out.
let me go back here. Yeah, you were saying where's that there? And
Yeah,
I wasn't.
Pluto
I wasn't
TV.
on the big screen.
Yeah.
I you know I,
Shout Factory.
Yeah, I gotta say the nice cool part about living in a streaming world, I suppose, is for the most part, even if it's a little bit off the beaten path. I wouldn't say this is super obscure, although the French does add to the "you're not gonna find it" category. Then find it, and that's. I think as time goes on, that'll kind of fall away, but as more people get aware of it. But the fact that you can see it on most of these that are free, and maybe the only cost you have is an account or whatever. I don't know, but
Hmm.
always cool to see that happen. I wish it was a little bit more not crazy. We didn't even talk about the fact of like secret societies and conspiracy theory, like that kind of thing. But that's the beautiful part about this. Like, there's just so much. Like, wherever you want to tackle it from. Even last week, arguably, we were watching a very good, clear cut interesting, dichotomy of feminism or a feminist type, matriarchal or more female powered movie, to great effect. And this, you could absolutely come in from that angle on this film too. I would say, or if you want to kind of take the political thing and talk about the peasantry and the aristocrats and how different characters represent those kind of things, and when they do interactions with other characters, it shows that they're utter contempt for that, just as people, and how there's two classes here. There's the people, you exist just for the king's pleasure, or the king's graces, whereas like that you're a very, very turbulent time. But anyway, that's kind of the cool part about a great movie, is wherever you're coming in off the street of, you're gonna probably find something, whether it was last week's movie or this one, which I like. I like that. I think this was a little bit more wide open to that interpretation, but I was very. It's something that I will definitely want to watch again, probably soon, because I'm sure I missed. I have no doubt that I might have missed a couple more things, but you end up thinking you're going to start over here, and you end up ending over here completely 180, and seeing what was talked about, or who was put to be the this or the that. I'll leave it there. But anyway,
yeah, there's a bit of a mystery in this as well. Like I said, there's sort of like the Sherlock Holmes kind of aspect of it, but I guess the only thing I would maybe ding it on is that there is so much in it that some things kind of get glossed over, or not as uh delved into as much as I would like the relationship between Manny and Gregor. I would have maybe wished for a little bit more of that.
Sure.
A lot of just them being together does most of the heavy lifting. But I would have appreciated maybe a little bit more there of that. But yeah, there's little things here and there where you would I would have liked maybe a little bit more of. But then this movie's 2.5 hours long, so you can't wedge too much more into this thing.
Yeah, I think that it holds up for me as being a little bit more unique film that I would have never seen before, which makes it its own kind of odd, quirky, good, and it resonates. I think very well. I think it's just like a nerd. I think it's perfect for nerdom. You have this really cool director who totally gets a generational vibe from. He was born in 1960. In 1982, he would have been 22. So you kind of, and of course we're our age now. It's just very good, very good. That so I would absolutely want to return and like maybe give another watch or something to another one of his things offline, and see if I have it. I have no doubt that I liked it. I did see Silent Hill, and it was good for what it was. It wasn't like. It was, but the ambiance and the atmosphere was perfect in Silent Hill. I do remember, and that is also true as well in Brotherhood of the Wolf. I'm not even going to bother trying to pronounce the French, because
Yeah,
nobody needs to see
yeah,
that
kind of
ugly.
skip over that.
Oh man.
Yeah. The neither one of our French is very good. So
Yeah.
if you're a French speaker and you're watching it, no, because we were talking about one of your movies, we apologize. We don't even attempt it,
Right.
But yeah, if you I think we're kind of wrapping up here. Yeah, let us know what your favorite French movie is. I'm not sure if this is my favorite French movie, but it's definitely up there. It's like I said, it's very entertaining. It's very much not like your typical French movie.
Right.
I think it doesn't take itself too seriously. It lets its hair down and has some fun. Definitely, like I said, it's an action-packed movie where if you're kind of bored with what's going on at the moment, wait a couple minutes and they'll be on to something different, you know.
Oh,
They never sit around and wait, you know.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a very good adventure story arc that you go on a ride for. And it's a little bit more serious than that. Not quite quest. I think that would imply that there's a little bit more innocence to this movie. There is not innocence in this movie.
Mhm.
That's not that kind of movie.
There's also a romance in this as
There
well.
is,
We didn't touch upon,
there is, yeah,
but
that's
yeah,
true. Yeah, but
very very attractive women in this,
yeah,
and attractive men if that's your thing. So yeah, very very beautiful people in this
yeah.
movie.
But like you said, there is just so much going on in the movie, where you're in and out.
Hmm.
I could see the criticism that you laid out before, but no, I enjoyed it. Like I said, kind of worst ding I would give it would be, maybe it does a little, it gets a little busy, but that works for me. Maybe that doesn't work for you. And then the CGI is just a kind of a thing,
Yeah, yeah.
these are very minor things. The job was
Mhm.
executed very well, and it holds up for being 25 years old. It just kind of, you go back
Mhm.
and you think, that was just yesterday. uh,
Yeah, and in fact, the for the they did a 4K restoration for this back in 2022, and they premiered the 4K restoration at the Cannes Film Festival. So
okay,
it still has people interested in it,
I
even to this day.
I think that it was sold out too. I think it was a hit. It was absolutely well loved. I had that in my notes as a thing too. But yeah, no, I think we're rolling up here on the caboose, and I'll pull us back out here, and we can just do like a really quick, 30-second run out the door before we say goodbye. Also, check out, I would say, before we get going on the final part plug in here, would be join us next week. We're going to be rolling up our part 3 of our werewolf monster series here. What is a monster? That kind of thing. Where things aren't always as they appear. Whether it be a fairy tale or a mashup, historical mashup with genre blending and mixing, or next week's where it's a little bit more on solid, a little bit more solid ground. One of my favorites. We'll get into that, but I'll hand it back to you, Tom, for the plugin.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. That's sort of a amateur actors in your movie, though. I think Uh, I don't
Super
know if they
amateur.
can hold their chops, but
I
yeah,
don't think
no,
so. They're
you'll just have to
horrible.
see what we're talking about
How they
here.
even became an actor,
Next
it's
week.
beyond me.
But no, yeah, you can find us here on YouTube. Yeah, if you like the show, yeah, give us a thumbs up and a like, and give us a subscribe. And then yeah, we've got a huge back catalog of different things. So whether you came because of it being a horror movie or an action movie, there's a little bit of something for you in our past catalog. Check us out. If you go back too far, you'll see that we've improved quite a bit. But yeah, we've got our YouTube channel, and I post on Reddit. I find different subreddits that will have me, and I'll promote our stuff. So you'll see me popping up here and there. But if you really want to see me, I'm on X. Every week I promote our stuff, and then sometimes I'll post some things that are interesting to me. But yeah, if you want to know when our latest stuff is out, I'll post there. Or if Mike beats me to it, I'll retweet him as well. But then Mike, you have yours.
I do, yeah. I have my bona fides here, ApeIt_Ink. And I would say too, it sucks because you should be able to pin somebody else's tweet to your wall,
Hmm.
but it doesn't let you do that. So you have to either retweet it, so you have to tweet what they tweeted or some kind of way to make it yours, so you can pin it. So shame on X for this. It's a dumb little thing, but I suppose it makes sense why they have it. But yeah, you can find me there, ApeIt_Ink, and also longer form, sometimes short form, sometimes funny, sometimes not. Heavier stuff, ApeIt.Ink. And as always, want to plug our last week, Company of Wolves, very fun ride. You won't be disappointed. that is definitely a family. I would say that's a pretty good family, a family, old school, enjoy. The family would enjoy. Um, Obviously, not little kids, maybe not even
Mhm.
tweens, but teenagers for sure. I don't know. Everybody has different
Yeah,
sensibilities, but whatever works.
yeah. If one of your favorite movies, Labyrinth, Company of Wolves,
Yep,
would be a fantastic movie
that's right.
to watch along with that. Yeah, the Brotherhood of the Wolf is one of those movies that you can pull out of your back pocket. If you've got some friends that have seen
Yeah,
everything, pull out that movie and impress your friends.
indeed, indeed. Yeah, and also we did Heretic, a little bit more modern. Also very fun, very
Hmm.
very fun. Right, love that movie.
Yep,
We get to experience Hugh Grant.
another A24 future classic. So
Flick. Yep, yep, yep.
there you go.
And that rolls up. Here we are, Brotherhood of the Wolf. And we'll see you next week.
If these guys show up at your door, there's probably some trouble
Yeah,
happening.
yeah. We'll see you next week.
See ya.